Peace and blessings. Get some people some time here to roll in. Hope everybody's doing well and having a good day so far. It's a little stormy out here in Atlanta, but it's all good. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about popular media and the black spirit. And this was a question that was left on, or a suggestion that was left on my Instagram for a video topic. And it's a topic that I'm very passionate about. Everything that I've spoken about thus far, I'm passionate about. But I would say as far as my why, my mission, and why I'm even doing what it is that I'm doing, it really has to do with this topic today of popular media and how it relates to the black spirit. And I want to take some time to just talk about that concept of what is popular media, how are black people interacting with it today. I would say media and that type of expression is inseparable from the black experience, right? I'm talking about even when we were in Africa, when we were brought over here, a lot of what we went through in the beginning stages of, America was guided through this concept of media. But specifically, I want to talk about like drama and music, right? So anything that has to do with, screenplays or acting, movies, TV, right? And music, right? Our music. These things have always been a part of what it means to be black. You know what I'm saying? In ancient African cultures, it was the passing down of stories and, the drumming and the singing that really was the cornerstone, the heartbeat of the community. Everything that was done had to do with this self-expression, right? And I think what's interesting about this expression is a lot of it had to do with nature, right? The cycles of nature, right? Feeling within ourselves this movement, observing, through the seasons, these times of movement, these changes, observing the animals and seeing, how things are moving along, the story of it all, right? And then being able to take that and artistically express respect and regard for that, right? And that requires, the mind, right? Works of the mind. In our first episode, we talked about photovoltaics, right? This concept of turning light into energy, right? Turning the things that we perceive into energy. We talked about activating our melanin, right? Which goes along with the first concept. And how, neuromelanin is the basis of all creative thought, right? So this is a picture of neurons here, neurons of the brain that fire constantly any thought that's happening, any process that's happening the signal first comes from the neuron. But then moving into today's world, everything is happening on social media, right? Everything has to do with some type of device, right? I'm live streaming right now, right? This concept of the internet and this digital world really comes down to the concept of zeros and ones, computer science. Back when I was in school, I spent a brief period of time studying computer science because after I went through my awakening and I realized the importance of media and self-expression, I was like, well, the way that the medium through which that self-expression is happening today has everything to do with social media. It has everything to do with technology, right? Computers. So I found it very important to get an understanding of that, you know what I'm saying? This concept of these codes being written, these programs being written, or these algorithms being made, and that dictates how everything that you do on a computer, everything that you do on a social media platform has a program behind it. It has a specific set of actions to take based off of what you're doing, or there's a specific set of actions that happen in order to allow you to do what it is that you want to do on these platforms. So there's a lot of energy, excuse me, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of thought, there's a lot of work that goes behind these platforms that we use, right? And I think that that's something that's very important to keep in mind. The amount of energy that goes into it. Because to us, we just have to pick up our phone, it scans our face. We open up our app of choice and, we go at it. But that level of convenience is created through a lot of back-end work, right? That user experience that you're having has been programmed to be that way. And a very important concept when we're talking about social media and technology in general, digital technology, is we have to talk about data, right? Data is a big thing. Data science is the basis of, the concept of artificial intelligence, which is becoming, increasingly more popular nowadays, right? Basically, what data science is about, taking these massive amounts of data, whether this information from things like a census, but a lot of it today is just like as we're on these apps, as we're searching the things that we search on the internet, that is stored somewhere. That data is stored somewhere, right? If you've ever been on a website and it says cookies, right? It says accept cookies. That's referring to the data storage system, right? So what happens is these millions and billions of pixels of data, millions of gigabytes of data are ciphered through, cleaned up, and they give you information. They give these companies information on how to best interact with you, right? On when are you on these apps the most? What are the types of things that seem to keep your attention for the longest amount of time, right? What things are trending? All that has to do with data. So when we're on these apps, my point in saying all this is that it's important to understand or at least to have an awareness of the stuff that's going on in the background, right? as we're engaging with these devices and we're engaging with, you know, this artificial reality, which 9 times out of 10, a lot of us are spending most of our time on a screen, right? Whether that's at work or for leisure, spending this time on screens. When we're talking about what is the most valuable resource of today, it is your attention. It is your eyes, right? Your time. So all of these apps are designed to take your time, right? They're designed to get your attention, right? And being that that is how we interact with each other today, when we're talking about the media that we then experience, right? Things like the news, right? Things like TV shows, the music that is being made. A lot of it has to work within that framework. What is going to get the most attention, right? So then when you have these music labels, for example, promoting the, money, drug, sex of, hip hop music, that is what gets the most attention. That is what gets the attention of, the demographic of black people on these sites, right? That is the narrative that has been formed, right? When it comes to news, right, what do they focus on? They focus on the violence, immigration. Now that the elections are coming up, that's, all that you hear about, all that you're seeing. So when you begin to pay attention to the design and you begin to pay attention to this fact that everything that's being presented to me, no matter where I am, it's about getting my attention. That is the most valuable resource of today. Your eyes, your ears, and your attention. And that's very important when we're talking about the black spirit, right? Pulling off of previous lives, the black spirit has a lot to do with melanin, right? This substance, this carbon-based substance that pigments the skin, but that more importantly lives within every system in the body, right? The nervous system. Melanin is this activator, this connector, this stabilizer. So I think for a lot of black people, that aspect of ourselves, right, the thing that makes us and that allows us to be as creative as we are, is spending a lot of energy trying to stabilize this overload of information. So the technology around the distribution of the media, right? So I'm talking about social media, I'm talking about streaming services, I'm talking about, your phone, your laptop, your iPad. That technology. And then the media behind it, right? So the companies that design the media or the artists that design the media, because there's a lot of independent artists nowadays as well. We push that energy through this technology, and then the consumers of that technology, which is, the general public, right, are taking on the information from these things, right? So when you're looking at your phone, that light from your screen that's going into your eyes, you're seeing these images, it's affecting you. But like we, get into this habit of scrolling, especially with things like, YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Instagram Reels, where you have that scroll ability. Now you can just keep taking in and taking in and taking in, right? So I'm talking about it's designed to hold your attention. So now you're getting these short bursts of, like, excitement, stimulation, right? So now that gets your hormones going, right? Your dopamine, right? Dopamine response, feel good response, right? You may be laughing at something, but it becomes an addiction. I catch myself, you know, just throughout the day, just like scrolling for like in 30 minutes or an hour. But like, what could I have been doing? What could I have been creating? What could I have thought about with that same time that I just spent, scrolling and taking in things that, really aren't of a lot of substance. So when it comes to our interaction with media, it takes a lot of discipline, and it takes choices, right? I'm not saying that you have to put your phone down and, like, lock it away every day, right? But if you're going to watch something, if you're going to engage with media, engage with something that inspires you, or engage with something that is teaching you a skill, right? Having balance between, pleasure and learning, because you can get caught up in pleasure, and that's not a productive place to be. So when we're attending to the black spirit, we have to talk about the parts of the spirit as well, right? The way that I think about it is that you have your thoughts on one side, your logical thinking. On another side, you have your feelings, your emotions, your intuition. And that the energy, or the animating force of the union of the two things, is the spirit itself, right? So that the black spirit becomes a black mind that is operating with logic and reason, but also intuition and creativity, right? When we reach that state simultaneously, that is the activation of melanin. That is the activation of the black spirit, right? And it's important to put ourselves in environments, physically and digitally, that are conducive to that state, right? Because the standard of what's out there as far as these digital and, physical environments are not conducive to the full expression of blackness, right? And it takes the choice. It takes the conscious choice. Takes the conscious choice to engage in creative intelligence. And this is where I get passionate, right? The art. The art. I'm an artist, and I think that artists are the people who will make sure that the world doesn't go to shit, essentially, right? That it is the responsibility of the artist to continue to bring the healing energy despite what we may face. And I didn't used to have that level of value on what it means to be an artist. Art was kind of just something that I did. Music was something that I just did. Poetry, But as I've grown and as I've matured, as I've embarked on my spiritual journey, I realized just how important it is to be an artist, just how much of a gift it is to be an artist. This world definitely does not cater to that way of being, but it is important nonetheless, right? And I think that it's hard to realize that without other people, you know, a community to acknowledge that within you. And that brings me to a very important person along my journey was Ancestor Malidoma Somé, right? And Ancestor Malidoma Somé was a medicine man from the country of Burkina Faso in West Africa. And he belonged to the Dagara people, right? And the Dagara cosmology revolves around nature, right? The elements of nature. But I was introduced to his work by one of my professors. And the first book I read of his was called Of Water and the Spirit, right? And this was an autobiography of his journey being born into that society, being stolen from his land to be indoctrinated in a French Catholic academy, running away from that Catholic academy and coming back home, but being in a state where, as it was expressed by the elders of his community, his spirit had been removed from his body, right? His spirit was over here, he was over here. So what he was experiencing was this psychosis, right? He didn't remember his language and he was frustrated, right? Trying to reintegrate back into a community without the spirit to do so, right? So his elders informed his parents, he said, he has to be initiated as a medicine man in order for him to survive, right? He has to be initiated into these natural ways of thinking again before he loses his spirit forever, right? So that's what he did. And, he went on to live his life, but one of the other books that he wrote was called The Healing Wisdom of Africa, where he really broke down, he broke down what are these ways of healing? What is this way of thinking that is, so-called African, right? What is it to engage in indigenous healing? And one of the concepts that he emphasizes is identity, right? The expression of one's unique creative genius, right? And that being accepted and acknowledged by their community. And when he got to the portion of artists, this will really shape my perception of what it means to be an artist, right? So he said, indigenous people assume that the artist is a priest or a priestess. The artist, as an artisan of the sacred, can cooperate in bringing the sacred to birth in the world. Indigenous people believe that without artists, the tribal psyche would wither into death, right? And that is, what I mean, right? When I say it is the responsibility of the artist, the black artist, to continue, right, our elevation, to continue our path towards liberation. It is our responsibility to continue to bring in the healing energy. The further along that, the European mind and like just this system goes along the path of technology, the further we get removed from nature. Or in other words, the further the black person gets removed from the true essence of our spirit, the more our melanin and the frequency of it is dampened. Because the way that I see it, and it's not to be like, conspiracy theorists, right? But it just seems to be that the goal is to make the mind and the person, right, docile through a constant taking in and consumption of mindless media, so that when they're not working, they're still engaging with these things that are making the system money. It's not set up to guide you into being free. It's not set up to guide you into creating a business of your own. It's not set up for you to be in your full expression. It's not set up for you to be in your creative genius. But I think what I really enjoyed to see, what has inspired me along the way in terms of the media that is out there, because all of the media is not bad, right? I'm saying there are pitfalls that come with the technology of distribution, right? But as far as like some of the things that are out there, I've gotten really inspired by a lot of things, right? Popular media. Afrofuturism. This is a I would consider my art to fall in this category of Afrofuturism, because the way that I approach it is to take our African past, observe our present moment as black people, and to be hopeful of, to be to fix my attention on a positive future. And to me, that is what Afrofuturism is, right? You can think of movies like Black Panther, right? Which is probably like one of my favorite expressions of Afrofuturism, I would say. I think that movie was really done well and written in such a way that inspired a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? I remember the time when it came out, and like everybody was really, into it. Everybody was like the energy that it brought forth and the attention that it gained from our community. Like that is what I like to see. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to see us, in a state of mind that's focused on, violence and the death of our people. I mean, obviously it's happening, and it's not something to ignore. But the majority of our energy, I feel, should be going towards a positive reality, taking into account what is happening, taking into account what has happened. But the creative energy should be directed towards a positive direction. You know what I'm saying? Because when it's not, that's how we run into situations where, people are creating murder music, all for the money of it, And now this is programming the black spirit, to engage in those activities, to treat each other, like trash or less than human, to not trust each other, to not value and respect each other. So it becomes important for those of us who are out there and who are trying to push forward a positive vibration. We have to understand the realm in which we're working. I think it is one thing to, say, fuck capitalism and technology and we just gonna thug it out in the woods. Like, I think that there is value to that. But at the same time, many of our people are not even thinking about things like that. They're on social media. So how are we going to have any political power or actually make change towards a positive direction if we aren't engaging on the battlefield that is, right? This is the battlefield. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes important for us as artists to really understand where we come from, why art is even a thing, how it affects us as black people. We have to know what's going on. We have to really reflect about what's going on. We can't be hiding from the present moment and chasing, artificial things. And we have to set our mind on a positive future, even amidst, all of the darkness. And that's very difficult. But as an artist, we have to constantly create the sphere, the place within our own lives where we can exist there, right? We can exist there and we can create from that space and we can spark change in ourselves. And then to share that with others through these technologies, to me, is like introducing the virus or introducing the antibodies that can break down the virus that is in the minds of our people, right? To me, the way that I see it, art is a crystalline, art is a technology. And it is a manifestation, it is a crystalline manifestation of spirit, of the essence of the creator within. You took something that didn't exist and you made it exist. So if you take a state, say you're in darkness, right? You're dealing with a lot of trauma, a lot of, violence, noise around you. You make the choice to find it within yourself to conceptualize and then to bring out and create a manifestation of a positive state of mind. That takes a lot of power. That's like not something to fret at. You know what I'm saying? That is the power of melanin. That is the power of creative thought. That is the power of the black spirit. The black spirit cannot be overcome by the technology or, the adverse popular media that is out there. You understand? So it's important that we really lean into that and hone our skills, right? And do the work that needs to be done. Because at the end of the day, nobody else is going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of work, and a part of what it is that I'm doing with this YouTube channel and things to come is a framework on how to make that work easier, right? Because I think that's the only thing that we got. It's the only thing that we've always had, and that is the way forward. Not in of itself, but that creative thinking, the art that we can create may inspire one of our children to know that, oh, I have the ability, I have the greatness to find a cure for cancer. I have such a positive image of what it means to be black that I can start a foundation that funds, whatever needs to be funded. I think it is the imagination of a black person that can come up with whatever solution is necessary in terms with alignment to nature, returning to the natural way of things, breaking out of, the so-called matrix. All of those answers lie within the African unconscious mind. All we have to do is bring it forth. And to me, I don't really know another technology that can do it besides art. I haven't found anything. If I find something, I'll let y'all know. But until then, art is the thing. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And the important thing for all of us is to create more than we consume. if the natural state of a lot of this popular media and the technology around it is oppressive in a way, or the sheer amount that we consume, just imagine, when you eat a bunch of food, you get the itis, don't you? Right? So I'm saying when you taking in all this information and all of this energy, without the space to digest it, we get lethargic and docile. So it's important to create more than we consume. And I'm going to, leave some time. Like, anybody got any questions, any comments based on what I talked about? And yeah, yeah, I could I could continue, talking about this topic, and I will through the form of videos. But as far as like a general description of where I'm at on it, that's really it. That's the way I see popular media and how it affects our spirits, but more importantly, how it is that we can overcome and, utilize this to liberate ourselves. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, bro. Positivity is the key. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. It's my pops down there. Yeah, the children, I think, just realistically speaking, we probably won't be alive to see the change that needs to take place. So, like, it's really going to come down to our kids and their kids to really, bring forth, our vision. I think the important thing now is to envision, to imagine, to heal our inner child, right? Which is the aspect of ourselves that can imagine, right? That can, envision a life of play and freeness, you know. Once we can reach that in ourselves and create things from that space, those will be the things that, our kids can pick up. I listen to a lot of old soul music. I watch a lot of old movies. If those people weren't creating anything, a lot of the things that shape, how I interact with myself and create wouldn't exist. Like, I wouldn't have been inspired. So it's always been that, it's always a cycle, right? But the children are definitely important. Their imagination is important. And I'll go live as far as the next live. I'll be live every Wednesday, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Next week, I'll be talking about the Matrix, escaping the Matrix. So it'll go in alignment with this video here. And yeah, be sure to check out the previous lives because they are all building on each other. But if there aren't any more questions, I invite you all to check out free journaling prompts in the description. and my ebook down there on defeating anxiety and depression through art. And yeah, next week the Matrix. I look forward to that one. That's gonna be a good one. But I appreciate y'all, everybody, for listening, and wishing y'all a positive evening. And happy creating. You know what I'm saying? But until next time, peace and blessings.